moment for the Cougars there that they really could have used that first down on a fourth down to get some energy behind this team.
Here's a pitch out to the left, and it's Hayes who is pushed forward on the tackle. But you got to bring him down pretty much any way you can get your hands on him. He is quite elusive.
Yeah, that was a good tackle, actually, because you got a hold of him and just didn't let him go. And, I mean, that's what you have to do. If you have a piece of his jersey in your hand, you hang on and make him drag you.
So now 2nd and 6 from the 39-yard line of Munford. Munford got everybody stacked in the box here. Again, it's a handoff to Hayes. Hayes still going to pick up close to 4 yards on that carry. So it'll be 3rd and 2 inside of 9:30 left to play here in the second quarter. Sticking with what's worked so far, Chad.
Just run Hayes. All you have to do is open up a hole. He'll get to the second level every time. He's a very sure-handed running back as well. Doesn't put the ball on the turf a lot.
Here we go, 3rd and short. Can the Cougar defense come up with a stop here? Force a 4th down. There's a quarterback keeper right up the middle, enough to move the chains. It's Carson Ruffin on the carry, and it'll be a 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line coming up for Covington.
And this is all they're going to want to do at this point when you're already up 3 scores. You just want to eat up clock and score at the end of every drive. I have a feeling they have a lot more passing plays in their playbook, but I don't think we'll see a lot of them as long as they enjoy a lead this week.
There's a handoff. It's going to be Fain right up the gut, and he's going to scoot into the end zone. Fain just burst through the second level, and he puts another 6 points on the board for Covington.
Tell me how that even worked, Andy. The quarterback had to turn 360 degrees to find Fain to hand it off to him, and there was still a hole there, and Fain was able to burst through it and make it to the end zone.
29-yard rush for Jalen Fain. Looked like a botched snap or perhaps a design play, but either way, that's Carson Ruffin pitching it out to Andrew Scott for a 2-point conversion. That looked like that might have been designed.
I think it was designed. I think the placeholder just got excited because he knew he was going to fake it, so he dropped the snap, but was able to pick it up, still make the pass.
So it is now 28-0 with 8:22 to play here in the first half. We'll keep it right here. 4 straight scores, Chad, for the Covington Chargers.
And just a dominant performance so far, looking like the returning state runners-up in their performance out here. Even though they lost Keyshawn Gant, they lost Brock Lomax, they lost guys on the offensive line, on the defensive line. Their head coach took another job. They promoted the offensive coordinator, and here they are, dominating like they never missed a step.
There's the kickoff, taken at the 20-yard line, across the 25, across the 30, and they're going to say he got a knee down on that slip you saw just a second ago. That's
unfortunate
on the return there.
That's unfortunate because I believe that he had a lane.
Hawkins certainly looked like it.
Hawkins is fast, and with the opening he had, he could have really done something with it. So it's unfortunate his knee hit the ground there when he got tripped up. I don't know what you try at this point if you're Munford. I mean, you've tried the running up the middle until you can open up the pass, and that hasn't been able to work for you.
1st and 10 from the 27. There's the pitch out on the option and a big-time tackle at the 25-yard line. That was basically a clotheslining of Avik White.
And what's bad here is it's a well-run option. The pitch was at the perfect time, but Covington just read it all the way. the entire linebacking core read the option. Nobody was back in coverage. It's just solid defense from the Covington Chargers that stopped that play.
That's one of the few times that we've seen the the Cougars rather, take the ball outside of the guards. They're running between the tackles all night long.
I think at this point, they need to try a couple of screen passes to back the linebackers up.
And we've got a timeout called on the field with 7:17 left to play here in the first half. I believe that is the third and final timeout for the Munford Cougars. We will take one with them. 28-0 again the score. Covington leading Munford in the first half. You're watching it here on Tubetown. Covington defense standing strong.
Well, and part of what is hurting Munford right now is they don't have Jashawn Adele at quarterback, who they had last year, who had the run threat that helped them in the option game. And I just don't think they have that threat as much anymore.
Well, you can see the threat is minimal right now for the Covington Chargers as they bottle up that option. Jackson O'Neal taken down well behind the line of scrimmage. Tried to avoid the first defender and did not avoid him at all.
And it was a host of Chargers in the backfield immediately. They're coming with no regard for any threat downfield, and that's why I say that Munford needs to look at running some short screen passes, maybe a couple of shovel passes, something short to make the linebackers have to back up a little bit to cover that 2-3 yard gap. You see them right now, they're already ready to jump.
Ball is loose, but that play was stopped before it really got started, so that's likely going to be a false start on Munford, and I think it'll be a delay of game on Munford. I was going to say, I think a couple of the Cougars down there were sensing what you were sensing, Chad, and feeling like the Chargers were getting ready to jump down their throat.
Well, Larico Burton
bringing the blitz.
Larico Burton is coming from the middle linebacker position, and he's at the line of scrimmage almost before the ball snaps because they don't anticipate any throws into the middle of the field right there or into the flats.
Yeah, keep your eyes on number 28 here on third and long. See if he gets in the backfield here. Play action, looking to throw. Scrambling out of the pocket. Tosses it over the middle. Two Cougars go for it at the exact same time. It looks like now they're tied up with a Charger who thinks he's got the football. Who's got it? The referee makes a very, very quick decision there to rule it in favor of Munford, and that one's still just shy of the first down markers.
Tie goes to the offense there. The defense knows that. Trying to make the argument, but no, that was a great catch. That was a great comeback to the route by Payne. And he was open. The bad thing about that was Payne was open well before that, wide open, and could have been hit in stride. But it's hard to see when you've got the entire defensive line in your face. So I don't blame O'Neal.
Well, 4th and 1, they're going for it here with 5:24 left to play in the first.
And they draw them off sides.
Nice job on the hard count by the Cougars.
First down of the game comes from a penalty for the Cougars.
I think that is, other than that.
I believe that's right, isn't it? First down?
It is their first down, but I was going to say I think that's the first penalty on the Chargers other than that. illegal procedure
It's not over, not even by
earlier here in the quarter.
It's beginning to,
It's been a very disciplined game so far, Chad. Haven't had a whole lot of flags, not a lot of false starts or anything like that so far tonight.
their team is not.
Oh, very clean for both teams here.
So here's the first down run. Fumble, ball is loose. The Chargers are going to pick it up, and taking this one all the way to the house is going to be Andrew Scott. A scoop and score for the Chargers, but that one could be coming back as a flag is down at about the 26-yard line.
And I'm thinking block in the back, and
Yep,
that's what the referee is signaling.
That's exactly what it was.
Blocking the back that was not necessary.
So Andrew Scott's scoop and score taken off of the scoreboard.
Still a huge misstep by the Cougars, but again, it's the pressure from the defensive line and the linebacking core of Covington. They're bringing so much pressure that the Munford offensive line cannot hold it, and O'Neal is covered up every time. And right then, you look here, he's got two guys, one bearing down on him from the front, one coming from behind, and he loses the ball trying to pitch it. Probably an ill-advised pitch when you have a defender that close, but he thought he could get it out of there. But he's been dealing with this pressure all night. He's trying to make something happen, so it's hard to fault him for trying to make that pitch because you're in a situation where you need the yardage.
Well, it is now 1st and 10 for the Chargers as that penalty occurred after the turnover. So Covington will have it on the Munford 36-yard line. I believe that's their best starting position of the night, Chad. All the way into enemy territory. Man goes in motion. They fake the handoff. It's going to be a run right up the middle for Ruffin. Ruffin dropped just shy of the 30-yard line, not before picking up about 4 yards on the ground. So the ground and pound offense still working here for the Chargers late in the second quarter.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was a great form tackle there, but I think it was, I want to say that was Hodgin, but no, that was Jackson O'Neal with that tackle, actually. That was
Now
nice.
second and 6. Snap is bobbled, but Ruffin is going to chase it down, get on top of it. Flag comes flying out at the end of that play, down at about the 36-yard line. So we'll have to wait and see what this flag is about. But how about the hustle there from your junior quarterback?
Nice job covering it up because that could have turned the momentum very fast back to Munford for this drive.
So that penalty will be declined by the Cougars. I believe an illegal shift called on Covington there.
And that's a smart decline by Coach Markle.
As that'll
You'd
bring
only
up
put them
third
back
and long.
1 yard further than they are now, and they'd be at second down and not third down. So,
And we have not seen Covington punt the ball yet. So we'll see if the Cougar defense can hold here on third and long. We'll see if the Chargers want to air it out. They're going to hand it right off the middle to Harris. Harris through the middle. One man left to beat. 10-5. Touchdown Chargers.
and how does he do it? Honestly, look at Marcus Hayes as he catches a block and then just turns on the accelerator. You see him right here. He's patient, waits on the block, and then boom, hits it right there. He saw the block come across, and then he hit it, and it's a home run after that.
You got to credit the offensive lineman there for the big pancake block there, too, that certainly sealed that touchdown. That was a 40-yard touchdown dash there for Marcus Hayes. Extra point up and good.
So 35-0 now for the Chargers. We still got 3 minutes left here in the first half. And Andy, what answers could the Cougars have at this point? I really don't know.
Well, it has not been a good night for Cougar fans here in Munford. 3:07 left to play here in the first half, and it has been touchdown after touchdown for the Covington Chargers. All 5 of them coming on the ground. So the rushing game working for the Chargers tonight.
And Hayes is so explosive that as long as they're handing him the ball, any given handoff could end in the touchdown. And so even if the Chargers try to grind out the clock here and just run it up the middle, you could still end up scoring 5-6 more times.
That's exactly how they've scored 4 of their 5 touchdowns. This kick taken inside the 20, now to the 25, still on his feet. The return man scoots out to the 30-yard line. A nice little return there for the Cougars, and I think that was Travion Hawkins.
Hawkins there dodged about 4 tackles before finally being brought down and then stretched out for some extra yardage. He's definitely, I think, a guy that they're going to want to go to get some kind of spark here.
Well, we've seen what he can do if he gets some open space. It's just, you mentioned it on the last drive, getting that open space has been a problem tonight for the Cougars. Every time they snap the football, you got white and yellow was bearing down on top of it.
But they've had some good looks in the passing game that they've just missed.
There's a handoff right to the left side that time.
A little bit of chatter coming in the defensive backfield there between Lamarius Payne and one of the Covington DBs. I think it was Miles Starks. Just a little bit of jawing. And if you're either side at this point, I mean, it's 35-0. There's really nothing to.
Yeah, not too much to talk about right now for either team. Nearing the 2-minute mark, 2nd and 9 coming up for Munford. There's a pitch to the right, and brought down in the backfield yet again is the Munford tailback. That time it is Lamarius Payne, and again, you have to credit this defensive front here.
Look at this corner crash is what got him. They crashed the cornerback, and he just comes in and gets it. It's like they know what they're going to call before they call it. It's really what it is well-disciplined defense with good eyes and the patience to find out where the ball is going and then the explosiveness to make the play.
So here we go, 3rd and long. It's 3rd and 12 to be exact. Looking to throw over the middle, incomplete. Just short of the intended receiver, so that will bring up 4th and 12 with 1:22 left to play here in the first half. So,
and again, that was there. It was just barely missed. That throw was there. I don't know if he had first down yardage. He would have had to turn it up and stretch, but he had the space. It was open. It was there. It was just barely missed. And I feel like that if Munford explores a little more of the passing game, they can get on the board.
One man back deep to return for Covington, and I think it is probably Marcus Hayes back there. It could be Jalen Fain, though. Oh, no, beg your pardon, Josh McGarity. Thanks to our camera crew there. High spiraling punt, and they had to call fair catch. What a punt that time for the Cougars. Return man comes up to take that one at the Covington 41-yard line.
Punt game's been solid from the Cougars so far. The first punt was shanked to the right, but it still had pretty good distance on it. And after that, it's been pretty solid.
Yeah, been pretty good. And certainly the best part of their game tonight. That's not necessarily
a lot of practice at it.
Not necessarily a great thing, but.
And if you're the Cougars, all you want to do here in the last minute is just hold them from scoring.
Yeah, because the Chargers are going deep. Had a man open at the 35-yard line, but a miscue there from Carson Ruffin. Just didn't throw it in the right spot. Had a touchdown for sure.
Yeah, just underthrown a little bit and a little out of place for the receiver, but it was in J.R. Kirby going for the throat here with a minute left in the second half, up 35-0, and he goes for the home run on first down.
Chargers still have all 3 of their timeouts here in the first half.
I think they'll take them with them.
Yeah, Munford does not have any. There's a reverse running to the left, brought down in the backfield. Jacoby Somerville on the carry there.
Nicely done by Jesse Savage there. Tracked it down, made the tackle, made sure he had a hold of him.
And that'll bring up
You'll
third
see
down.
here. He reads it all the way, and then boom. That is how you have to play the runner when you've got action happening in the backfield. You can't make the lunge too fast. And he waited until the runner committed to a lane and made the tackle. And that's how you're going to have to stop Marcus Hayes.
I think Covington looking to call a timeout here. Time ticking under 20 seconds left. May have to call one to avoid the delay of game here.
I think they may just take the delay of game and then take a knee.
Well, 7 seconds left here in the first half. And they do call a timeout. So we're going to take one more timeout here in the first half. 4.2 seconds remaining, 35-0. We'll see what the Chargers do when we come back. You're watching Tennessee High School football on Tubetown. Live, local, from Ritter Communications.
I'm James Finley, and I'm from Jasper, Arkansas. We came in to have my mother's service turned on, and she needed to pick a plan. They were patient, answered every question, and there were a lot of questions.
We just took our time with her and wanted to make sure she had everything she needed.
You could see that they genuinely cared about my mother.
I don't want to go into a store and be treated like just another number. That's not how we roll in Jasper. Treat people how you want to be treated.
Andy Manis and Chad Gatlin back here with you at the end of the first half. 35-0 is the score. Covington leading Munford, 4.2 seconds remaining. And Munford out of timeouts here in the first half. Covington just used their first. We'll see if they want to take a knee here. Well, they're going to hand it off right up the gut and see what their tailback can do with it. Scooting forward for first down yardage as time expires is Jamarian Dowell, and that'll do it for the first half. 35-0 is your score. We're going to take a quick break. Come back, we'll break down the first half of action. Get you ready for the second when we come back here on the Tubetown Halftime Show. Back after this.
At Farmers, we've seen almost everything, so we know how to cover almost anything, even rooftop parking. Strange forces at work? Only if you're referring to gravity. And we covered it. Talk to farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Our dog got hit by a car. My wife and children were very upset about losing Buddy. While I was burying the dog, I cut the cable line. Being a dog owner myself, it's hard losing a pet. So it's very important for us to get their services restored. There's a winter storm hitting right now. It was a Friday night. You showed up and the very next morning in some pretty terrible conditions and fixed us up. That's what we try to do here at Ritter in a bad situation, try to make it better.
Tubetown is now available on the Amazon Fire TV and Fire Stick. Watch live events from Tubetown on your Amazon Fire TV or Fire Stick. Head over to the App Store and search for Tubetown. Once your app is installed, you can watch every live event from Tubetown. Miss our live coverage? Our past events are available on demand. Download the Tubetown app to your Amazon Fire TV or Fire Stick today. Tubetown, live, local, from Ritter Communications.
My name is Kevin Moody. Both of my kids do online gaming. They let me know when the internet's down.
I'm Bobby Valentine. I work for Ritter Communication, and I'm a technician level 2.
My services were completely out. They sent Bobby out the next day. He told me that the box was shot.
It was shot.
With a gun. And he had it fixed within a couple hours once he got there. Bobby switched out my modem for me and had me upgraded to a faster speed. And both of my kids have been singing Bobby's praises since.
My name is Donna Ann Lucy. I am from Caraway, Arkansas. I had been having trouble with my internet.
You got a lot of important things that you do from the internet, and you don't want to miss anything.
I usually use it to book rooms to watch my granddaughter play basketball. They had someone out that day, and it was back up within 20 minutes.
And it makes me feel so good to go there and take care of it, you know, and see the smile on her face, man. That makes my day right there.
I'm James Finley, and I'm from Jasper, Arkansas. We came in to have my mother's service turned on, and she needed to pick a plan. They were patient, answered every question, and there were a lot of questions.
We just took our time with her and wanted to make sure she had everything she needed.
You could see that they genuinely cared about my mother.
I don't want to go into a store and be treated like just another number. That's not how we roll in Jasper. Treat people how you want to be treated.
My name is Raynessa Chandler. I am currently the manager of technical support for Ritter Communications. Ritter is like family in more ways than one. My aunt retired after 33 and a half years here, and currently I have two cousins that work at Ritter. We have a variety of talented individuals. They motivate us and encourage us to do the right thing. We're grateful for the opportunity to work at a place such as Ritter and to be able to help others, because that's what it's all about, serving others.
Well, here at Sid Witherington Stadium in Munford, Tennessee, the Munford Cougars down to the Covington Chargers 35-0 at halftime. Not a lot you can say about it. The Chargers behind the running of Marcus Hayes and, honestly, the running of their new starting quarterback, O'Neal, Jackson O'Neal. They've been tremendous. Jackson O'Neal able to keep on a lot of the plays and get yardage straight up the middle. Marcus Hayes, always explosive, can turn it up at a moment's notice. Once he makes his first cut, it's almost impossible to run him down after that. And they've just been lighting up the scoreboard here. The only real miscue we've seen from the Covington Chargers has been a shanked extra point that hit the upright. They made up for that with a two-point conversion later, and now they lead 35-0 over Munford. Munford has been unable to get anything done offensively. One first down in the entire first half, and they've done pretty well in the special teams game when they punt, but they're just unable to stop the Chargers from scoring, and they can't move the ball. Covington's defense constantly in the backfield of the Munford Cougars in this game. The quarterback not getting any breathing room whatsoever, and just unable to find his way. And I said Jackson O'Neal, but that is the quarterback for Munford who can't get anything going. Carson Ruffin, the quarterback for Covington. But Jackson O'Neal unable to get anything going. Had a couple of open receivers, but couldn't connect with them on a couple of plays. But other than that, just been covered up completely in the backfield. Can't get any room whatsoever to operate, Andy. And so even when he's had opportunities, they've been cut off by the defense of the Covington Chargers.
Yeah, not having time to set your feet and fire the football, not, as you mentioned, having space in the backfield to really move around much at all, or even pitch it out. When you got a guy to pitch it to, as soon as you get it to him, he's swallowed up by the defense.
I mean, and we've even seen them interrupt the pitch once and cause the fumble, get the recovery. We've seen them actually them run a reverse that looked like it was going to be successful, and then Covington crashed the corner and takes him out in the backfield. A lot of negative plays for Munford. They just have not been able to overcome the smothering Covington defense.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, what kind of success have the Chargers had tonight on the ground? I mean, they are just absolutely just going through this Munford defensive front like a hot knife through butter.
Absolutely. It all starts up front with Covington and that line. They're just so well coached at offensive line, always have been for as long as I can remember. They can open holes, and as I said earlier when I was talking about Marcus Hayes, all he needs is the hole. And once he gets to the second level, he makes his first cut, turns on the afterburners, and that's it. And so if they can't get him with a linebacker at that point, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and we've seen it, as you mentioned, with some of his offensive linemen. It only takes one block. We saw that on the last run. It only takes one good block for Hayes to, as you said, see the lane and just hit the turbo and go.
Now, looking forward to the season, though, and of course it's hard for Cougar fans right now to look forward to the season, I think, but the first game is the first game, Andy, and it could look really bad today, and then you come away learning a lot and growing from this game, because remember, the Cougars are starting a lot of new guys tonight, and so it could get better as the season goes on for them. This could be the motivation that they need to make the improvements. The Chargers, on the other hand, they got to be happy going into this season and looking forward. After they lost a great many of their stars last year and lost their head coach, they come out with a dominating performance like this, and they look like the defending state runners-up.
Yeah, they absolutely do. It's hard to believe, as you mentioned, that they've lost the starters that they lost, especially the two that we've talked about all night long. One of them being the quarterback, Brock Lomax, a 4-year starter. So it is good to see Covington out here not missing a beat. You talk about Munford and trying to look forward to the season. I mean, if you look at last year, it wasn't a fun game to be a part of last year either. It was a 55-14 final, but Munford turns around after that and they win the next 4 in a row.
That's true, and they end up going 5-5 and making it into the playoffs. And so they were able to save their season now. They ran up against a stud in Henry County, but you have to remember that, this is a 5A team, Munford, and so their schedule is daunting. And they were able to get 5 wins out of the year last year after taking a big loss to Covington, who, by the way, only lost 1 game in the state championship that year anyway.
Well, it is 35-0, as we have mentioned. The halftime performance still going on here at Sid Witherington Stadium. So we're going to step aside for a quick break. We'll come back and kind of get you ready for the second half of action between Munford and Covington. It's all part of the Tubetown halftime show. That's coming up for you next here on Tubetown.
At Farmers, we've seen almost everything, so we know how to cover almost anything, even rooftop parking. Strange forces at work? Only if you're referring to gravity. And we covered it. Talk to Farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Our dog got hit by a car. My wife and children were very upset about losing Buddy. While I was burying the dog, I cut the cable line.
Being a dog owner myself, it's hard losing a pet. So it's very important for us to get their services restored.
There's a winter storm hitting right now. It was a Friday night. You showed up and the very next morning in some pretty terrible conditions and fixed us up.
That's what we try to do here at Ritter in a bad situation, try to make it better.
Tubetown is now available on the Amazon Fire TV and Fire Stick. Watch live events from Tubetown on your Amazon Fire TV or Fire Stick. Head over to the App Store and search for Tubetown. Once your app is installed, you can watch every live event from Tubetown. Miss our live coverage? Our past events are available on demand. Download the Tubetown app to your Amazon Fire TV or Fire Stick today. Tubetown, live, local, from Ritter Communications.
My name is Kevin Moody. Both of my kids do online gaming. They let me know when the internet's down.
I'm Bobby Valentine. I work for Ritter Communication, and I'm a technician level 2.
My services were completely out. They sent Bobby out the next day. He told me that the box was shot.
It was shot.
With a gun. And he had it fixed within a couple hours once he got there. Bobby switched out my modem for me and had me upgraded to a faster speed. And both of my kids have been singing Bobby's praises since.
My name is Donna Ann Lucy. I am from Caraway, Arkansas. I had been having trouble with my internet.
You got a lot of important things that you do from the internet, and you don't want to miss anything.
I usually use it to book rooms to watch my granddaughter play basketball. They had someone out that day, and it was back up within 20 minutes.
And it makes me feel so good to go there and take care of it, and see the smile on her face, man. That makes my day right there.
I'm James Finley, and I'm from Jasper, Arkansas. We came in to have my mother's service turned on, and she needed to pick a plan. They were patient, answered every question, and there were a lot of questions.
We just took our time with her and wanted to make sure she had everything she needed.
You could see that they genuinely cared about my mother.
I don't want to go into a store and be treated like just another number. That's not how we roll in Jasper. Treat people how you want to be treated.
My name is Raynessa Chandler. I am currently the manager of technical support for Ritter Communications. Ritter is like family in more ways than one. My aunt retired after 33 and a half years here, and currently I have 2 cousins that work at Ritter. We have a variety of talented individuals. They motivate us and encourage us to do the right thing. We're grateful for the opportunity to work at a place such as Ritter and to be able to help others, because that's what it's all about, serving others.
All right, back here at Sid Witherington Stadium in Munford, Tennessee. Chad Gatlin, Andy Manus here in this Armed Forces game, the big rivalry game that kicks off every season, at least in the last few years, between the Munford Cougars and the Covington Chargers. Unfortunately, this one a lopsided affair. In the first half, Covington leads 35-0, all 35 points coming on the ground for the Chargers. The Cougars unable to get anything going, Andy.
Yeah, and let's recap that scoring drive the scoring drives rather, for the Covington Chargers. They started things off on their first drive of the night, a 3-play drive that ended with a 71-yard touchdown rush from Marcus Hayes. They would miss the extra point, so they would be ahead of the Munford Cougars there, 6-0. Then you fast forward to 7:27 left to play in the first quarter, a 7-yard touchdown rush from Jalen Fain. Fast forward to 1:32 left to play. 11:47 left to play in the second quarter. That's when they put in their third touchdown of the night on the ground, an 18-yard rush, this time from quarterback Carson Ruffin. Fast forward to about 8:22 left to play in the second quarter, another touchdown for Jalen Fain, this one coming from a 29-yard rush. And then their final touchdown before the end of the first half, a 40-yard touchdown rush from Marcus Hayes once again. So 2 touchdowns on the ground for both Hayes and Fain, and then Carson Ruffin chipping in another as well.
Of course, we are seeing right here how Preston Hayes can help get it done through the air and on the ground just like Carson Ruffin can. Carson Ruffin hit him, and he had to actually wait on the ball. He had so much space between he and his defender that he had time to wait on the ball and catch it, and still able to make a big play there. Ruffin, pretty good arm on him as well.
Yeah, and you're just taking a look now at just how stifling that defense of Covington has been so far tonight. We've got about 2 minutes left on the scoreboard before we get the third quarter of action underway. The Covington Chargers have made their way back out on the football field. Still have not seen the Cougars come out of the locker room. They will probably be out here momentarily as you take a look. That second touchdown rush from Jalen Fain. We're going to go ahead and step aside for another quick break. When we come back, we'll have the third quarter kickoff for you right after this.
At Farmers, we've seen almost everything, so we know how to cover almost anything, even rooftop parking. Strange forces at work? Only if you're referring to gravity. And we covered it. Talk to Farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Our dog got hit by a car. My wife and children were very upset about losing Buddy. While I was burying the dog, I cut the cable line.
Being a dog owner myself, it's hard losing a pet. So it's very important for us to get their services restored.
There's a winter storm hitting right now. It was a Friday night. You showed up and the very next morning in some pretty terrible conditions and fixed us up.
That's what we try to do here at Ritter in a bad situation, try to make it better.
Tubetown is now available on the Amazon Fire TV and Fire Stick. Watch live events from Tubetown on your Amazon Fire TV or Fire Stick. Head over to the App Store and search for Tubetown. Once your app is installed, you can watch every live event from Tubetown. Miss our live coverage? Our past events are available on demand. Download the Tubetown app to your Amazon Fire TV or Fire Stick today. Tubetown, live, local, from Ritter Communications.
My name is Kevin Moody. Both of my kids do online gaming. They let me know when the internet's down.
I'm Bobby Valentine. I work for Ritter Communication, and I'm a technician level 2.
My services were completely out. They sent Bobby out the next day. He told me that the box was shot.
It was shot.
With a gun. And he had it fixed within a couple hours once he got there. Bobby switched out my modem for me and had me upgraded to a faster speed. And both of my kids have been singing Bobby's praises since.
My name is Donna Ann Lucy. I am from Caraway, Arkansas. I have been having trouble with my internet.
You got a lot of important things that you do from the internet, and you don't want to miss anything.
I usually use it to book rooms to watch my granddaughter play basketball. They had someone out that day, and it was back up within 20 minutes.
And it makes me feel so good to go there and take care of it, you know, and see the smile on her face, man. That makes my day right there.
I'm James Finley, and I'm from Jasper, Arkansas. We came in to have my mother's service turned on, and she needed to pick a plan. They were patient, answered every question, and there were a lot of questions.
We just took our time with her and wanted to make sure she had everything she needed.
You could see that they genuinely cared about my mother.
I don't want to go into a store and be treated like just another number. That's not how we roll in Jasper. Treat people how you want to be treated.
My name is Raynessa Chandler. I am currently the manager of technical support for Ritter Communications. Ritter is like family in more ways than one. My aunt retired after 33 and a half years here, and currently I have 2 cousins that work at Ritter. We have a variety of talented individuals. They motivate us and encourage us to do the right thing. We're grateful for the opportunity to work at a place such as Ritter and to be able to help others, because that's what it's all about, serving others.
Welcome back to Dr. Sid Rithington Stadium. Andy Maness, Chad Gatlin here with you, ready to get the third quarter of action started between the Munford Cougars and the Covington Chargers. 35-0 is the score as we get set to start the third. Munford going to try to get things started off on the right foot here in the second half.
Stadium getting it kicked off to Crisscross Jump from my childhood. I actually was listening to that song on the way to the game, believe it or not.
Well, you showed up with your clothes on the right direction, though, so.
I know. I didn't live it out. But I promise you that was on my mix on the way into the stadium.
If you had showed up here with your pants on backwards, I probably would have made fun of you. Short kickoff, and the whistle has blown before the kick, so I think we'll have a re-kick. I think the Chargers might have gotten started there before the referees were ready.
He has thrown every flag except one, and that was when there was delay of game, and it's not his call to make.
Well, and it doesn't look like they're going to penalize them, so I guess you're right. They just started early.
So I think the Chargers were a little anxious to get the second half started, kick the ball, and then the whistle.
All right, so we'll have a re-kick now.
So now here's we will re-kick. And it's got to be a short
Another kick taken at the 30-yard line across the 35, now down to the 40 and dropped at about the 42. Cougars will have pretty good field position here to start the third quarter, trailing 35-0.
A gift from the Chargers.
It was.
To the Cougars. They get to start out at the best field position of the night. That's including a kick out of bounds.
And, Chad, the game clock is continuing to tick already. Interesting.
That is interesting. I did not think that, I mean, they can make that decision, I suppose, if both coaches agree upon it.
Well, first play of this drive taken right up the middle across the 45 down to about the 47-yard line. And they have made no effort to fix the clock or anything like that. So I would assume, audience, that we are under turbo clock right now with a score of 35-0.
I assume they talked to each of the coaches and they agreed to go with a running clock for the rest of the game.
Interesting. Well, somebody lost a helmet there as Jackson O'Neal keeps it on what appeared to be an option play that was yet again busted as soon as the ball was snapped. The Chargers back in the backfield once again.
Always scary when a player loses their helmet in a hard contact sport like this, especially with all we know today about CTE and all of the problems with head injuries that football players have. Cooper Bar B there. Seemed to be fine, though.
So it'll be third and 44, or excuse me, 3rd and 8 from the 44. Oh, it's only second down. Handoff goes right up the gut. Good for a pickup of about 2. It's now 3rd and 6 after the handoff.
It's really a nice job there by the Cougars running back. I think it was Keelan Boyd on the carry there, and he was able to pick up a couple of yards. I mean, you know, through a stout defense that's been smothering them all night. 2 yards doesn't seem like a lot, but he kept his feet churning and was able to get the yardage. He got hit at the line of scrimmage.
So I was right. That was 3rd down, and now the punt team comes on. Seems like everybody's kind of got their wires crossed right now. So thought that was indeed a 3rd down run. So now 4th and 7. The punt team comes on for the Cougars. They will kick this one away at midfield at their own 47. Time continues to tick down to about the 9-minute mark. Let's see if the Cougar kicking game will continue the role it was on in the first half. Oh, going to be a fake. And ball goes nowhere. Flag comes out. I don't even think they picked up a single yard.
Where the flag is, you got to think it's offensive holding anyway, which will be declined, and Covington will take it over. Although it did look as though there might have been a face mask by the Covington player that was making the tackle, but where the flag is, I would almost bet, and he's looking toward the Covington sideline, so he's asking for a decline.
And they are.
All right, will be a false start. So Cougars will commit yet another turnover on downs. Just a tough night for that Cougar offense,
Yeah.
Chad. I mean, they have only had one first down the entire game.
And that's, but again, that was a curious call to me there on fourth down. I understand faking it, but to fake it and try to run it up the middle, and once you realize that the nose guard's going to line up right on you, I think you abandon that. Nice defense there from Munford. They woke up.
Yeah, Jamrion Dowell on the carry there. So take a look at Dowell. Bounces off of his blocker there. If he had maybe just cut a little bit to the outside, could have got around that block there.
Couldn't catch the number on that Munford player that made the tackle.
So now under the 7-minute 30-second mark. 2nd and 8 coming up after the 2-yard pickup by Dowell from the 45-yard line. There's the snap. Ruffin on the keeper, flung forward by a Cougar defender, and that was Carson Robertson on the tackle there for Munford.
That's a solid 5-6 yards on the pickup there that looked like it was going to be taken down at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Robertson just wrapped his arms around Ruffin and just kind of propelled him forward there. So now 3rd and 5 coming up. One wide receiver for Ruffin. 2 backs in the backfield. It's a pitch out to the right. It's Dowell on the carry across the 45-40. And he did not get the first down yardage. So this will be one of the first 4th downs I think that Covington has had all night. It may be the first one.
I believe it is the first stop by the Munford defense. And it does not look like Covington is going to punt.
Well, got the ball on the 40-yard line. Got 3-4 yards to go. Your running game has been dicing up this defense all night long. We'll see if they maybe try to draw them off sides with a hard count.
You would think that at this point the Chargers, though, would want to just punt and pin them deep, make them run the clock, especially playing with the running clock right now.
There's the hard count. Couldn't get it.
Now they call a timeout, and they'll punt the ball, I think.
Yeah.
From where they are, I think they can. I think that Covington can punt, pin them down around the 10, make them drive, get their second string some good playing time, work that defense, work on their depth.
We're going to go ahead and take a 30-second break. We'll be back with more action here from Munford right after this.
At Farmers, we've seen almost everything, so we know how to cover almost anything, even rooftop parking. Strange forces at work? Only if you're referring to gravity. And we covered it. Talk to Farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
A rough night for the Munford Cougars so far. 5:33 left to play here in the 3rd quarter. You take a look at some of the coaches or the Cougar staff here, just having a hard time tonight against the purple and gold of Covington.
The thing is, you have to get your players to play all out right now, even though there's a lot of the second stringers in. Nice sack there from the Cougars.
And that's a turnover on downs.
And that's and for them to run that play on 4th down and not punt, that's the best result Munford could get. I'm a big fan of J.R. Kirby. and I know him a little and really like the guy, he shouldn't have called that play. And, I mean, I would tell him.
Kind of rubbing it in a little bit.
I would tell him if he asked me, but I think he should have kicked that ball.
Well, a turnover on downs gives it to the Cougars. 1st and 10 from their own 42. Looking to throw. A little sidearm fling out here to the near side. Flats incomplete. Had an open receiver, but a little too low for Tristan Thomas.
Just unable to hook up. I think the quarterback has thrown 3 or 4 times in this game. He's barely missed. Only one I remember being far off. Just a little bit of a timing issue. And that's what I was saying is you got to get these guys, you got to convince your team to play hard even though they're down so much, just because this will pay off down the road. Getting these reps in and getting better will pay off down the road.
And there's a fumble on the reverse. And was that Tristan Thomas on the...
I think it was Jesse Savage.
It was Jesse Savage. Didn't fall on it immediately, but able to avoid disaster here. Take another look.
And this is just... Savage is going to have to learn you just fall on this ball. Right there, you don't try to pick it up. He's got to learn that going forward. And honestly, that's going to, in film review this week, that they're going to drill that into his head. And that won't happen again.
Yeah, it's now 3rd and 22 from the Cougar 30-yard line. So we'll see if they air it out here. Got one wide receiver on the far side, one lined up near the line of scrimmage on the near side. Play action, looking to throw, taking a shot downfield, near sideline,
Nice
caught,
catch.
got his feet inbounds. Still short of the first down marker, but a big pickup through the air. And as Chad said, a great catch by Lamarius Payne.
Nice throw and catch there, and able to get the foot down and get inbounds. I mean, it was just fantastic by Payne there. And it was the Covington defense elapsed there really because the quarterback stared the receiver down.
4th and 4. Let's see if they can get their second first down of the game. They send a man in motion. Look like they're trying to draw the Chargers offsides on the hard count. Couldn't get it to work. So now they change the play. Cougars hand it off up the middle. No. It's O'Neal keeping it himself. He got down pretty low to the ground and might have gotten enough yards there, Chad. He kept his body low and dove at the absolute last second. And
I was
looking at the spot, I don't know.
It's very close.
Short.
And they say it's short.
Another
I don't know how you
turnover
can
on
do that
downs.
without measuring, honestly. You look at the flag, and you look where – I know what situation we're in, right, that nothing hinges on this call, but –
that's pretty close. We're just eyeballing it out
You're
here.
on the complete other side of the field from the flag,
Yeah, we're just eyeballing it out here right now. 2 minutes left to play in the third quarter. 35-0. Turbo clock in effect here in Munford. So Covington now with the ball on their own 49-yard line. Ball spotted on the right side hash mark. There's Ruffin taking it himself. Or no, excuse me, that looked like maybe a direct snap.
Yeah, it was a direct snap to Jamyron Dowell.
I saw Ruffin hanging out in the backfield there. I'm like, he didn't carry the football.
Jamarian Dowell. I'm sorry for saying your name wrong. We should have had,
the
sometimes you
pronunciation
get
here.
the pronunciations next to the names, and sometimes you just have to guess.
Tonight's one of those guessing nights. 1:15 left to play here in the third quarter. There's another handoff to Dow running to the right side.
Looks like he's going to be a little short of the first there, but a good solid run.
And one more play here in the third quarter ought to take us into the fourth as we are now under a minute left to play here in the third. 3rd and 2 coming up. Ball spotted on the Cougar 43-yard line. So Chargers only got to get a couple of yards here to move the sticks.
Big crowd. Not many Vegas places over there.
Chargers definitely making a statement tonight, letting the AP voters know that just because we lost a lot of our guys, don't forget about us when you turn in those polls this week.
Munford showing blitz here on 3rd down. Ruffin runs it right up the gut. He's going to pick up enough yardage to move the chains yet again on the ground.
How stout is Ruffin? got stuck and just
Bounced
stood
off
it
the
and took
guy.
it.
5'9", 170 is what the roster has him listed at. And now the clock ticking down under 10 seconds, so Covington content to send it to the fourth with a 35-0 lead. And that's where we are headed as well. We are back with the fourth quarter of action here on Tubetown right after this from Munford, Tennessee.
Our dog got hit by a car. My wife and children were very upset about losing Buddy. While I was burying the dog, I cut the cable line.
Being a dog owner myself, it's hard losing a pet. So it's very important for us to get their services restored.
There's a winter storm hitting right now. It was a Friday night. You showed up and the very next morning in some pretty terrible conditions and fixed us up.
That's what we try to do here at Ritter in a bad situation, try to make it better.
We are back here at Sid Witherington Stadium where the Munford Cougars trail the Covington Chargers 35-0, a running clock in effect here in the game. And the Cougars just looking to get the reps in. The Chargers letting a lot of their depth charts show at this point in the game. They jumped out to such a quick lead in the first half and then just piled on. And it was just too much for the Cougars to take.
Well, and I've noticed that even though they have kind of subbed in some of their personnel, Carson Ruffin's still out there. And I think Chad, as he picked up that first down a moment ago before the end of the third, we'll see him throw here on 1st and 10. Taking a shot downfield. Too tall for the intended receiver, and some great defense played by the Cougars there. But you're still seeing him in the game at this point with a 35-0 lead. And as we talked about throughout this game, you got to wonder how much of that is just trying to get him comfortable with the offense, him being a first-year starter here.
Oh, I think that's what it's all about. He's a first-year starter, and they just want to get the reps in because they know the schedule gets harder. And they want to make sure that he's not only comfortable with the offense and the play calls, but also that he's comfortable with the entire depth chart at receiver, because you never know who will be out going down the road and who's going to have to step in.
Dow goes in motion. He's going to spin and hand it off to Kobe Somerville. And Somerville will get dropped for a loss of a yard. So now 3rd and 11 coming up.
And I will say, too, on that last throw we saw from Ruffin, it was a beautiful throw. And the receiver honestly just stopped on the route too soon. Had he not stopped on the route, I believe it would have been laid in perfectly. It was a great throw from Ruffin.
Chargers are just kind of running their base stuff now.
Yeah.
Again, the clock continuing to tick. We are at 10:35 here in the fourth quarter. Ruffin takes the snap, looking to throw now. Got men streaking downfield. Hit as he throws. Good pressure by the Cougars on that play. And I want to say that might have been Carson Robertson in the backfield there, but again, that digital camouflage is a little bit tricky to tell what number it is. I believe that is number 6, and I think that is Carson Robertson. So that'll bring up 4th and 11 now.
Great job pressuring the quarterback. He had a receiver on the outside and probably would have connected with him had that hit not been made.
And it looks like they're bringing the punt team out here, are the Chargers.
First time.
First time we have seen them in this formation tonight.
We'll see. Munford has actually been pretty good on the other side of special teams tonight, so we'll see how they do with this. They're going to clear it out and just let it go into the end zone.
Yeah, that one will take a roll, but it's going to stop. Oh, man. Started to take a roll towards the end zone, but checked up at about the 5-yard line. And that's about the way the Cougars' luck has gone tonight.
When it rains, it pours, Andy.
What a punt.
A monsoon tonight. As we also see an injured Cougar being helped off the field by a teammate here. Looks like that is, I'll have a name for you in just a minute. It looks like we have a leg injury. Number, oh no, I believe that's Jackson O'Neal.
They really want to go ahead and run a play, but the officials are not going to have it.
I can't see the number for sure, but I believe that's Jackson O'Neal, the starting quarterback.
And they haven't
hobbling off the field there, and as Munford gets the ball to go on offense. No, Jackson O'Neal's out there in the huddle, so it's not him.
I think he is out there. It looked like that might have been Trace Parker. I saw the 2 like you did, and I think that might have been a 4 on the other side. Again, that digital camouflage not doing the broadcasters any favor tonight. So we got 2 flags down out on the field right now with 8:35 and counting. Got an unsportsmanlike conduct. Unsportsmanlike conduct. It looks like on both sides, so they're going to offset each other, and we will just keep playing like nothing ever happened.
I mean, honestly, fellas.
It must have been after the play.
Let's settle down.
Otherwise, you would have to do that play over. That had to have occurred after the play was over.
And so now the referee is explaining to both sides and giving a warning as they're getting ready to line the Cougars up.
And the clock is continuing to run down here.
Took at least 2 minutes off the clock. Now we're down to 8 minutes to play in the football game.
Haven't had that many plays in the fourth quarter either.
So a Monday night game coming up for you, Andy. You'll be across the river in Arkansas on Monday night.
That's right. First football game of the year in the state of Arkansas, and you can find it right here on Tubetown as this first down carry right up the middle will be stuffed again by this Charger defense. But yeah, Monday night, 5:30, right here on Tubetown. Again, you can catch us on the Facebook page. You can catch us now on the Amazon Fire Stick. Just go to the App Store on your Fire Stick, search for Tubetown, and download the app. You can watch every live event we have this year. Of course, after that Monday night game, 5:30 kickoff, we're going to be in Millington next Friday night for the M&M Bowl. And yet again, the Cougars try to run it right up the gut. And one more time, the Chargers will push the pile backwards.
And they're just trying to avoid a safety at this point. At least on that play, they were.
Night game, 5:30 kickoff. We're going to be.
Yeah, the Cougars will take the M&M Bowl next week. I'll be interested to see. Looks like that one blown up in the backfield too.
Yeah, 3rd and 8 coming up. A man goes in motion. And now it looks like they'll check the play here at the line of scrimmage. And in motion goes to the far side. Dropping back to pass. Did he throw that right to the defender? I think he did, but the defender dropped it.
That's got to be intentional grounding. I mean, it's not much of a penalty where you're at, but, I mean, it's clearly an intentional grounding.
Did he throw that right?
They didn't. I guess, they're just not going to throw the flag on that. But yeah, bad decision, though. You just got to hang on to it at that point.
He did back it up.
Well, I don't know. Actually, maybe the right decision now that I think about it. He could have taken a safety, I guess. So the Cougars, as I said, they've got the M&M Bowl coming up next week. They hope to make a ton of improvement. They will be taking on the Millington Trojans. And like I said, I'm interested to see the good punt coverage again from the Cougars. I'm interested to see Tommy Clifton, the quarterback at Millington. He's shown steady improvement every single year. And so I'm really ready to see him this year. I think he's really going to come into his own. And you may see some improvement on that Millington team, because the Trojans have really been down since they redistricted the schools, if that is the correct word. Since Millington City took over their own school and they shrunk the school zone into the city limits, it's a lot smaller school. A lot of the talent went to other schools like Bolton and other area schools. And so Millington has really been struggling to find their way since the size of the school shrank, and I think now they've sort of got their footing and kind of found out who they are, and I'm looking to see some good things out of Millington this year.
Yeah, and Tommy Clifton, you mentioned him. That's one of those guys like Brock Lomax that we've got to see develop over the last few years. I mean, he was a 4-year starter.
Right.
He is a 4-year starter there at Millington, is he not?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it seemed like, honestly, when they started him as a freshman, and it was sort of the same way for Brock Lomax, you saw some of the tools that he had, and you thought, yeah, this guy's going to be good, but I don't know if it was the best idea to start him his freshman year. But then for Brock Lomax, I mean, it paid off. It's two trips to the state championship game for him. So Tommy Clifton looking to get a little taste of success this year.
1st and 10 after a first down by the Chargers. They once again hand it to Dowell up the gut, and he'll pick up 4, maybe 5 yards. So now 2nd and 5 coming up.
Clock's still running. They're just no reason to get in a hurry if you're Covington here.
Yeah, none at all. And again, starting quarterback Carson Ruffin still in the game. Just trying to get him as many reps as they can. Actually, they may have taken him out. And that's Tanner Stewart in there now. So they've subbed their sophomore quarterback in and trying to get him a little bit of game time experience. Pretty easy whenever you got a stable of tailbacks like Jamry and Dowell in the backfield.
I'm telling you, it's just nonstop with the Covington Chargers. It seems like every year there's 2 or 3 guys that can run the ball for over 1,000 yards in the season.
Yeah, they live up to their name for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
They are charging forward tonight on the ground.
Roger, I'd say
5 touchdowns on the ground tonight, all of them coming in the first half.
J.R. Kirby's return to Munford as a head coach is going to be a bitter pill to swallow for the Munford Cougars. And tough for them because J.R. Kirby, by the fan base here, is beloved. And while they have a deep and intense rivalry with the Covington Chargers, that doesn't extend to J.R. Kirby. He is beloved by the fans, even if they might dislike the team he coaches. Some of that sentiment may change after tonight. But it's tough for the fans because, you know, you want to be happy for your former coach and that he's having success. At the same time, you don't want it to be at the expense of your team.
And it has been tonight. 35-0 is the score. And another new set of downs for the Chargers here as we're under 2 minutes left to play here in the football game.
And if you're a Cougar fan, I don't think it's, you know, time for a complete dismay. Look, Nick Markle is a great coach, and he's going to get a lot of the things fixed here. There are a lot of new guys starting on this team. And so I think you'll see the kinks work out toward the end of the year. And it may not be a stellar year, but you still got some good performances to look forward to, I think, from this Munford team. It's tough for a team like Munford who starts the year off each and every year with their 2 biggest rivalry games. They play Covington in the first game of the year. They play the M&M Bowl against Millington in the second game of the year. And that's every year, no matter what their current situation is, that they have to start off with their 2 most intense games.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I guess it just depends on your outlook for the year. That could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. It just depends on, you know, if you go out and bomb both of those games, your year's probably not looking so good.
Right.
It's you know, you might be a little bit dejected after that. So, so we have got an injured Cougar out there, looking like he was just trying to get a cramp worked out. That was Jesse Savage out there, I believe. And, you know, that's something, Chad, that I'm a little surprised we hadn't seen more of tonight. It seems like the first few games of the year that we do, we're constantly stopping for injuries, and that is thankfully the first one that we've had to stop for tonight.
Well, and thankfully, I think part of it is the humidity broke a little bit today over what it's been here lately. Usually right here at the end of August, we've got so much humidity in the air that if you don't stay hydrated, it'll happen before you know it.
It's now under a minute left in the game. Turbo clock in effect. We have a timeout called by the Chargers.
And the clock's still running. I don't. And Coach Kirby's come out to the field to huddle with his team on the field. Now they stop the clock. 45 seconds. Well, J.R. Kirby, first year at the helm, 3-year offensive coordinator for the Chargers. Before that, some very successful seasons with the Munford Cougars as their head coach. I said 3 years, and I'm mistaken about that. 2 years. He was at Crockett County as the assistant coach for his first year after he left Munford, then went to work for Marty Wheeler as the offensive coordinator at Covington for 2 years.
He took a 2-8 team.
He comes out to talk things over with his team. They break the huddle, and now with 45 seconds left to play in the ball game, we'll see how they want to run this clock out.
2-0 against Covington.
Here's Tanner Stewart ready to take the snap for the Chargers. It's a pitch out to the right. And the Cougar defense holds strong.
A.C. Young.
And that should be the final play of the game. We'll see if they have to run one more or not.
The way the sideline is reacting on the Covington side doesn't look like they're planning on running another play.
Yeah, looks like they are going to run this one off indeed. So, first game of the year here on Tubetown in the books. And it is a blowout. The Covington Chargers coming away with a 35-0 shutout victory tonight of the Munford Cougars. All 5 touchdowns coming in the first half. All 5 touchdowns coming via the ground attack, Chad.
Whether it's Carson Ruffin, the quarterback, on the keeper getting it in, Marcus Hayes with the explosive runs, it's just a nonstop onslaught from this Covington team. And I was trying to think they had one other, Jalen Fain, I believe, had a touchdown on the ground as well. And just the depth seems to never stop with this Covington Chargers team over the last, I would say, 4 years, 3-4 years. They've really just had quite a bit of depth so that whoever they lose, it seems like another guy just steps in and takes over. And so while we had Brock Lomax at quarterback, now we've got Carson Ruffin, no drop-off. And now he's working under a coach that's going to let him throw it around a little bit more, as we've seen. And so there's a little bit more dynamics in the offense as well for this Covington team, and they could go out and do great this year.
So 35-0, the final score here tonight. Covington over Munford. Again, we remind you to join us next Friday night. We will be back in Tennessee as the Munford Cougars will take on the Millington Trojans in the M&M Bowl. Of course, we're going to be right back here with you on Tubetown on Monday night over across the river in Arkansas as the West Side Warriors will take on the Greene County Tech Golden Eagles. That will be the first football game of the year in Arkansas. We'll be coming to you live from Centennial Bank Stadium, home of the Arkansas State Red Wolves. So that one will certainly be a fun one to be a part of. We certainly want to appreciate everybody who made tonight's game possible, all of our crew and our sponsors as well. We remind you that coverage of Tennessee high school football on Tubetown is presented by Ritter Communications. They're brought to you by Farmers Insurance, the Gatlin Agency, and Tubetown, a community partnership of Ritter Communications. Final thoughts tonight, Chad?
Well, there's not much to say about the game, but I will say that if you want to see some quality high school football throughout the year and watch your favorite teams, and the best thing you can do is download the Tubetown app on the Fire Stick. Look, I was late to the party on the Amazon Fire Stick, but I've got it now, and I can't believe I waited that long to get it. It's like, what, $40 or something, and I don't even have, I don't know if I have my TV on another input ever anymore. I keep it on the Amazon Fire Stick all the time. You catch live TV. You catch all these games. Just look up Tubetown on the App Store, and you can see all the games live right there in the comfort of your own living room on the TV.
That's right. And be sure to also keep up with us on Facebook. Just search for Tubetown Online on Facebook. Well, that'll do it for tonight's broadcast. Again, the final score 35-0. For Chad Gatlin, I'm Andy Maness saying so long. Everybody have a great and safe Friday night. God bless.